This is a feeling that just like absolutely just sucks. Just being on the receiving end of it, but as well, you realizing this is like it's just a horrible feeling. So, have you ever had like a friend? And let me just get into my thing where like like you're just like you like them and everything like that, and you like talk to them every single day, but then one day all of a sudden things just like it's weird. So let me talk about something that where I experienced this, where I started noticing this whole thing. So it was my junior year of high school, and I was starting to really get focused onto my sport. And at the time, I didn't still ever enter a gym. I never really entered like a gym or anything like that. Like not even just a gym, but I never lifted or anything like that. And a lot of my friends at the time were heavy lifters, like not heavy lifters, but they lifted since middle school. They were on the football team and everything like that. I wasn't. I started wrestling really late. Actually, I started wrestling in 10th grade. I didn't do well in my first season. I don't think I maybe talked about it before. I had one JV win, so I wasn't necessarily always the greatest wrestler of all time. So, anyways, I really started getting, and that's the thing, I hadn't lifted until my junior year. So I went to the lifting. I started lifting in my junior year, and in that time, I really got introduced to a lot of people, a lot of the football players that were into lifting, and they all really welcomed me with open arms. I was a little nervous about how I'd be like, like perceived because I was smaller and didn't know how to do a lot of the movements, but they were all very nice to me, and that was something I noticed very quickly that no one really judges anyone who begins. I mean, there was like a few maybe, but that was really it. I didn't really experience too bad of it. I noticed I'm trying to think actually, was it? Nah, I don't really. I'm trying to think if there was someone that actually lifted with us that made fun of me one time. I'm not too sure exactly. Maybe he was. I'm not too sure. But I didn't really get made fun of too much. But anyways, when I started really getting to that lifting world, and then I started going through a crazy amount of off-season practices, I was, really going after everything because I fell in love with the process. You know what I'm saying? And it really showed like when I was actually on the mat performing in my matches. It really showed like in my first tournament. I am in my junior year varsity tournament, which is a really hard tournament. I was in a bracket with three of the top ranked guys in our area that are really good, very strong and everything like that. I was a no name. I knocked off the number two seed and really made my mark there. Placed in my first varsity tournament. Bear in mind, I only have one JV win, so now I'm seen as a guy who's reliable and in that varsity team. Before it was like, oh yeah, what is this guy doing here? He's probably gonna be like that junior that no one cares about, and everything like that. But really made my mark really early and shocked a lot of people. But anyways, when I started really getting more into that circle, I was brought into the circle more and more, and that's when I started noticing that like my old friends that were just doing the same things. Really, they were maybe playing video games or out like drinking and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Not really doing the most productive things. I don't really know too much exactly what they were doing. I started really distancing myself from them in my yeah, at the start of my junior year when I started doing really well in my sport and everything like that. And it's not because like I was like I was trying to be like an ego and be like, oh yeah, I'm bigger than everybody. It was just like I started noticing like yeah, like we don't have a lot in common. Like it's like I almost outgrew him almost, and it sucked. Like realizing that like a lot of these people that you talk to, and this is something that I experienced a lot more, not just in high school or anything like that, but just in general in life. The reason why I'm talking about high school is because I'm 19 right now. I just graduated recently. I'm still like fresh into college, so I don't have crazy my experiences in college. A lot of times in college now, I usually keep my head down and really focus on my own stuff. So I'm not really having too much. I don't have too much friends anymore, but I'm not too worried about that anymore. But back to the story that I was at previously, that I started noticing as well, like a lot of these old people who I had like really good connections with, all of a sudden, we just stopped like yeah, it's just like it wasn't like we like got into a major fallout or anything like that. It's just like, yeah, they started doing their own thing. They started going out to more parties and stuff like that. And I was at night time, even on Halloween. This sounds crazy. On Halloween, I went to wrestling practice, and when I went to wrestling practice on Halloween, there was around 6 people, but in a place where there's usually like 50, 60 people, but there was 4 people there that day, around 5 people, and I didn't care. I wanted to get better. So, yeah, I that's my mindset. And I kept wanting to keep growing every single day, and I started noticing that like as I had that mindset, I started becoming really less relatable to a lot of people. Probably a lot of people that are watching this right now don't understand fully that whole thing. Maybe I don't sound too relatable there. I don't really know. Or I'm not even sounding. Yeah, I wasn't even the greatest high school wrestler. I was not that good. I didn't even have a positive record in my junior year of wrestling. So I had a negative record. So I wasn't like crazy good or anything. I just had a couple good moments. But yeah, the point is like I want to keep improving. I started noticing all my old friends, they had like a bad mentality, and it's not like I wanted to like stay away from them because they're like a bad influence or everything like that. And I felt like, oh yeah, these guys are lazy. It's just like I grew apart and it sucked. So that's something I noticed, and that's something that like I don't know. It just sucks like, as you keep growing and you want to keep improving. You have a lot of your old people who don't want that, but at the same time, you being on the other end, you're seeing like your friend or something like that. He's acting like you know he's better than everybody. He's trying to separate himself from everyone else. That kind of sucks. That feeling is why you get a little angry. So maybe there's a little bit of resentment. I'm not that crazy like good guy or anything as well. I'm not that strong or anything, but yeah, I'm just really doing my own thing and just want to keep improving myself. So I don't really have anything against anybody. I'm just friendly with everybody. I'm just yeah, but it's a feeling that sucks growing apart from everybody. But I still, if they ever text me, if they even have my number or anything like that, I'll text them back and whatever. But yeah, always just try to be the best possible version of yourself and just have a positive attitude and be friends with everybody. Be nice to everybody.